Now, if you have a family and are looking for a neighborhood that has a park in it, you're looking for a neighborhood that backs up to trails, really close to trail access, or a neighborhood that is within biking distance to downtown Durango or the Animas River Trail, I've got you covered. So what we're gonna do in this video is we're gonna break it down a little bit different. Instead of just giving you a full list and just kind of explaining some of these neighborhoods, I'm gonna break it down into segments. We're gonna start by talking about neighborhoods with trails. We're gonna talk about neighborhoods with parks in them, like I mentioned. We're gonna talk about neighborhoods with a few other specific amenities, like neighborhoods that are in town, closer to Purgatory Ski Resort, kind of break them apart like that. Then at the end, I'll summarize, kind of give you my top 3 or 4 picks. And how we're doing this is there's not very many websites, or really any websites, that list out best neighborhoods for families to live in. So as a realtor, I've got to go to a third-party source. So what I did is I went to Chat GPT, typed in what neighborhoods are best for families, pulled from that list, and then I kind of took that list and I'm kind of breaking those apart, those neighborhoods apart, and making it easier for you guys to understand and kind of split them into different categories. Make sure to stick around to the end. Like I mentioned, I'm going to break apart just my favorite top few based on some of the amenities that those neighborhoods have. Let's jump into it. Because as much as I love shooting these videos, I even love more helping you with your real estate needs. So if you're even thinking about moving out this direction, give me a call, text, or email. Days, nights, weekends, love to help you. And we'd be more than happy to just hop on a call, go over your criteria, go over what you're looking for, and just help you kind of filter out some of the pros and cons of what you're looking at, show you some of the pros and cons of different areas you're looking at, just kind of give you a personalized tour of Durango via phone call, Zoom call, or even in person if you come out here. And we actually just closed on 2 properties last week with 2 different clients that reached out because they saw these videos. So I'd love to work with you guys as well. Let's jump back into the video. Now, we're shooting this video right now in the winter, but previously in the summer and the spring, I've shot neighborhood tours of all of the majority of the neighborhoods that we're gonna be talking about. So let's dive into the first one. I'm gonna just briefly go over it, and then we'll actually clip in a segment of me doing a full neighborhood tour when there's a little better weather, so you guys can get a little bit better footage. So the first one is gonna be Twin Buttes. Twin Buttes, I'm just gonna give you kind of a 10,000 foot overview, a few important facts about it. What I really like about Twin Buttes, first of all, is it is really close to town. Now, in this neighborhood tour that I'm about to clip in, I am gonna explain, I believe I explained, that the taxes can be quite a bit higher there. So just a few quick pros and cons. Taxes could be quite a bit higher. A lot of homes are a little bit closer to the road than you might want regarding the road noise. But I have plenty of clients that are buying in there as well and don't mind it. And there's just depending on where the home is situated. So it's not like, hey, don't move to this neighborhood because of the traffic noise, because it just really depends on your preference and where the home is situated itself. And the other thing about this area is it does back up to some phenomenal trails, the highest rated trails in all of Durango, the Twin Buttes trail system. So let's clip in that neighborhood tour now. All right, so now we are in Twin Buttes. So this subdivision is really cool because they back up to 10.9 miles worth of trails right behind the subdivision here. And then it's really unique because you're in city limits, so you're actually really close to town. So you're 9 minutes to downtown Durango and then about 26 minutes to the La Plata airport. And as far as trees go, you got kind of a mix of ponderosa pine trees and scrub oak in here. And you'll see in some of the videos, some of the drone shots, what other trees and kind of what it looks like in here as far as vegetation. As far as views, you can kind of see over my shoulder, and in some of the clips I'm showing you guys, that there's not really any mountain views, specific mountain views, but you do have these ridges kind of all around you. So it's still a really pretty scenery, pretty views. These homes are kind of perched up to where they're looking out at these ridges around you. Talk numbers a little bit. The highest price home sold in here is 1.8 million. Home sizes are 1,552 to 5,443 square feet. So really big range in here. Most of them are going to be in that kind of 2 to 3,500 square foot range, kind of in that middle zone. Lot sizes are all right about 1/3 of an acre. So you see right behind me here, these are kind of looking out at that gorgeous view, looking down at the pickleball courts and the pond that they have down there that you can actually swim and play around in the spring, summer, and fall. And they do have a little parking lot down there as well. All right, then let's talk utilities. So what's awesome about this subdivision being in city limits, it is on city water, city sewer, Atmos Energy, and La Plata Electric. So it's all on city here as far as utilities go. Now the elevation is slightly higher than in town. It's 6838. So you're gonna get a little bit more snow up here. As I've discussed in other videos, you do have smaller driveways, everything's paved in here, so I wouldn't be too concerned about the snow amount up here. Once you continue up this road a little bit further to Durango West, Durango Ridge Ranch, they get quite a bit more snow. We'll dive into that a little bit more when we show you those subdivisions. Then a lot of clients ask me, is livestock allowed, just as far as chickens, things like that, in all these subdivisions that they're looking at? None of those are allowed in here. You can't have chickens here. To my knowledge, that might change, so always reach out to me if you have specific questions on specific subdivisions. Then another thing clients ask me a lot is about traffic noise, saying they don't want to live close to traffic noise. You do hear a little bit, Highway 160 here. Something I always want to offer is let me know if there's a specific home or subdivision you're looking at, and I'm happy to go out, show you that specific home, because it's like some of these homes are going to kind of facing the traffic. You're going to hear that traffic, and some you're going to be tucked back in the subdivision and you're not going to hear it at all. It's really the same with some of these other subdivisions I'm going to be showing you as well. All right, now let's talk trails. A lot of people move to Durango because of the awesome access to trails. Like I mentioned earlier, we got 10.9 miles worth of trails. The Twin Buttes trail system that backs up to this subdivision, unlike just about any other subdivision in Durango or around Durango, in that it backs right up to trails. Then you're only about 9 minutes to the Animas River Trail, just down the road here. Once you get into town, you're only a couple more minutes away from the Horse Gulch trail system. Really awesome trail system as well. Now, a lot of these trails you can hike on, bike on, and even snowshoe on, but you do want to look into or look at the map because they are directional. So you can only hike up or bike up one direction. So just make sure to look into that. A few other trails you've got Overland Bike Park. That's right in town, kind of on the west side of downtown. We've got Animas Mountain. That's on that same side as well, really close to Overland Bike Park. All right, so let's talk fishing. A lot of people love fishing here. We've got some of the best fishing in all of Colorado here in Durango. You've got access to the San Juan River, less than an hour away, which is in New Mexico, so you got to get a different fishing license. And then you've got the Animas River, only about 9 minutes away, which is in town Durango. Then you're about 15 minutes to Lake Nighthorse. You've also got some lakes up north, Haviland. You've got a little pond over at Purgatory, and there's quite a bit more fishing than just that. So if you're really interested in fishing, first of all, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to talk to you about fishing. But then I also recommend reaching out to Duranglers or San Juan anglers as well. I get a lot of my gear from both those spots. Definitely recommend reaching out to them if you're curious about more info from them. Also, Andy over at Duranglers on Instagram, he does a daily fishing report that he posts on Instagram. So definitely check that out too, because you can just pop on there, see what the fishing is like, see what he recommends, and you don't even have to make a phone call. You can just check them out. All right, we are back. Now, just to give you another understanding of the next few neighborhoods that we're gonna talk about, they're gonna be Edgemont, Three Springs, and Rockridge before we go into kind of the next section, which will be best neighborhoods with playgrounds or parks. So we're gonna jump into Edgemont right now, kind of give you a quick recap or an understanding of what Edgemont is like. Really great neighborhood, only about 10, 12 minutes from downtown Durango. Let's dive into that. We'll come back, we'll show you Three Springs and Rockridge, then jump into best neighborhoods with playgrounds or parks. Let's jump over to Edgemont. All right, now we're in the Edgemont subdivision. So you've got Edgemont Ranch, Edgemont Meadows, and Edgemont Highlands. And we're gonna tell you some of the reasons that my parents actually moved here and built here about 6 years ago or so. And then a few of the reasons that they actually moved from here to a subdivision only about 10 minutes away from here. So let's jump into it. One of the amazing features of Edgemont that I just love is they have private access to the Florida River. And it's about a mile stretch. The fishing on there is incredible. I've fished it with my dad many times and love it. If you don't care about fishing, you're not into fishing, there's a mile long trail that goes right along the Florida River, fairly flat, actually really flat, wood chip trail, fairly forested, trees over it, so it's not too sunny. And there's a nice picnic bench right there where you can have lunch, have dinner, whatever, and it's a really easy walk down from wherever you purchase or wherever you live in Edgemont. You can also drive down there. There's a little parking lot down there, so it makes it easier to walk right onto that trail. So to me, that is a huge benefit, and you don't see that a lot in subdivisions like this. There's a few others that you'll see in some of my other videos, but not many. Then obviously it's got these cool little ponds right here, a little play area for kids, and behind that, there are tennis and pickleball courts right there. That's for this subdivision specifically. The others have their own amenities as well. Then the other thing that I love about it is they have 10 plus miles of walking and biking trails throughout. Now in Edgemont and Meadows, you can't bike on them. To my knowledge, in Edgemont Ranch, you can, but wood chip trails throughout the subdivisions, 10 plus miles, which is incredible. And I don't think that's counting the trail I just mentioned along Florida River. All right, now let's talk a little bit more about specifics regarding amenities. You're about 11 to 12 minutes to downtown Durango from here, and then you're about 25 minutes to the airport, about 15 minutes to Durango High School. And then let's talk hiking trails. So you've got Missionary Ridge, not too far from here. Now it's a little trickier access. You go through Durango Hills subdivision, which we're actually going to touch on next, but it's just up the road. You go through up to the top of Durango Hills subdivision, and then you've got these insane views on these hiking trails up there on Missionary Ridge. So there's some great trails up there, but then as far as biking, you're just around the corner from the back end of Horse Gulch Trail System, which is pretty much known as one of the best trail systems in Durango. So you're very, very close to a lot of great biking, hiking, fishing. And then I didn't mention Lemon Reservoir is just up the road from us as well as Vallecito. Lemon Reservoir is going to be your first one. The next is Vallecito. Lemon is about 25 minutes away from here. So you are going to be about 10 to 15 minutes closer than if you're in town Durango or further closer to town. Then closest restaurant, all those restaurants right in town are going to be your closest restaurants. But we just had an amazing addition to the Edgemont subdivisions, which is the Meadow Market. The owner does an incredible job at the Meadow Market. I love all the different artwork she has, all the different things and amenities she has in there. And then the food, the menu is incredible, guys. So she's got some great coffee selections. You know, it's kind of known as a coffee shop, but then her lunch menu is incredible. The Reuben sandwich, I definitely recommend checking the Reuben sandwich out. Really well priced menu as well. And it's actually in Edgemont Meadows. So really easy to access. You can walk there from anywhere in Edgemont. And then she does like dinners where you can buy a big dinner and take it home, or even have a party and order food from her and take it home. She's doing different specials all the time. So definitely worth checking out the Meadow Market. So your closest restaurant really is within walking distance, but then you've got a bunch more restaurants in town at only about 11 minutes away. All right, so home sizes are gonna be about 1,056 square feet to just under 5,100 square feet, 5,092. Lot sizes are gonna range from just below an acre at 0.82 all the way down to about 0.09 acre lots. So there are some small lots in here. I'm going to reference you guys to another video I did on Edgemont, all the reasons not to live in Edgemont if you can't handle these things. So I just talk about kind of the cons of Edgemont, and a few of those things that I talk about in that video go into much more depth. It's just that one, the trails, there's a lot of these trails that go right behind the homes. So if you really don't want people walking behind your house, you know, I have a lot of clients that live here and they don't really care. And I've got other clients that really do care. And it also depends on where that trail is, how close it comes to the home. So keep that in mind. Then another thing is just some of the homes are fairly close to each other. You know, some of the homes' back decks are looking at another home's back deck. It just varies. Some homes do a really good job of having kind of a forest line or a lot of scrub oak right behind them. So it's really well forested. Just sold a home the other day, or I should say a couple months ago, where the scrub oak was grown up really well and you could barely tell there were homes behind them. And then I showed a home, I don't know, last week where it was just obvious, you know, the home was right there, or the home behind them was just right there and you're just staring right at them. So just depending how you feel about that. And I would say don't necessarily cross Edgemont off your list. If you're concerned about that, just look at the specific home and get an idea. And by the way, guys, I'm more than happy to go take a video of this property and give you an exact idea of how close homes are, how close home trails are to it, even get the drone up in the air so you can get a nice perspective. Don't hesitate to reach out if you're even thinking about moving here. Give me a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. We've got your back when it comes to moving here. Licensed realtor here in Southwest Colorado as well as New Mexico. So we've got you covered with all of your real estate needs. Let's jump back into the video. So the elevation is 7407 here. It's almost 1,000 feet higher than in town, which is 6512. And so the reason I bring that up is the snow. You do get quite a bit more snow here. A recent storm we had a couple months ago, we got almost 16 inches here in Edgemont and 14 in town Durango. I know that's only 2 inches difference, but they got a lot more snow in town than they normally normally would get. Typically, you're seeing between 30% and 100% more snow here than in town as well as south of town. So south of town and in town are gonna get the least amount of snow of anywhere in Durango, as well as in the Animas Valley, just to touch on that point real quick. The HOA here, $363 per year in Edgemont Ranch, $940 annually in Edgemont Highlands, and then in Edgemont Meadows, it's gonna be $135 per quarter. So all fairly similar, relatively close. And then keep in mind, like I just mentioned, right here, we've got tennis, pickleball courts, basketball courts, playgrounds, and then on the trail, they've got some nice workout equipment like pull-up bar, dip bars, stuff like that. And then again, just to reiterate, we've got that fishing access right there. You're only 11 minutes from the Animas River as well, roughly 11 minutes. All right, one more con that I want to discuss of living in Edgemont is going to be the traffic. So I sold a home last fall in Edgemont where my client was looking at a lot of homes that kept popping on the market. They were right on Florida Road, and his frustration was, I just don't want to be staring at the road for $900 to $1.2 million purchase price. So it's not the majority of homes by any means. Maybe 5% of homes are on the road, but you just want to be cognizant that if a home is on the road, when you're looking at the satellite view or GPS, that you're definitely going to hear some traffic. Well, on both sides of the road, they're not super close. They're not butted up against the road. So it's hard to tell, like, will I like it? Will I not? And there's some trees in between the road, but you're definitely going to hear some traffic. Again, let me know. I'm happy to go out with my camera and give you a feel of what it sounds like, and just give you a really good, just get a real good feel of what it sounds like. All right, so just to recap, one more thing that I wanted to talk about was actually the fencing that you're allowed to have on your home. So you're allowed to have a little bit of fencing, but not much. So if you really want a fenced in whole yard, you really can't have that. You can have a little bit of fence. I'll show you some videos of what that looks like as well. And then just keep in mind, a lot of this is kind of that community feel. You want that feel that you're just kind of plopped in the forest, and we don't want a bunch of fences all over the place. So you'll a lot of times see deer walking through, see raccoons, squirrels, a lot of different birds. It's really incredible area in here. But if you really want that decent sized property with a nice big fence all the way around it, you're really not going to get that here. And then just to recap again, it's a really desired area because just quiet, and you have that kind of Colorado feel. As you can tell, all the pine trees around me, spin the camera around, you can kind of get a feel for it. You know, there's pine cones on the ground, a lot of scrub oak, and you just get that Colorado feel that a lot of people are looking for when they're moving from somewhere like Texas or Arizona that just doesn't have this feel. Maybe they're more in the desert or bigger city. So people love this in general. If you're looking for bigger acreage lots, this probably isn't for you. There are a few on the market. Again, near that 1 acre lot is the biggest lot size you'll see here. And then if you're looking for more of just that real green lush as far as like grass, cottonwoods, aspens, you're gonna wanna go up further north, but I've got a lot more videos that hit on all those areas specifically. So feel free to, again, shoot me a message if you're trying to find a video that hits on a specific subdivision or area, because I most likely have a video that covers that. All right, we're back from Edgemont. That is a really popular subdivision, so I hope you guys like that. Would love to hear what your thoughts are. Again, as always, reach out if you have any questions on any of these. And let's jump into Three Springs. I'm really excited about Three Springs. I'm working with a developer right now that is building some properties over in Three Springs. So if you're at all considering Three Springs, reach out to me. I've got some off-market properties over there. I also have some connections over in the last two neighborhoods that we're looking at where, or that we discussed, with some off-market properties, just some sellers that are considering selling over there as well. So just keep in mind that I've definitely got some good access to off-market properties. Let's jump over to Three Springs now, and then from there, we'll go over to Rockridge. All right, now we're in Three Springs. So hands down, this is probably the most walkable subdivision. Maybe it's a toss-up between Three Springs and Durango West. And the main reason is that it backs up to 47 miles of biking trails. These biking trails actually connect into the Animas River Trail, which brings you all the way down to downtown Durango. So it's really incredible for that reason alone. But if we just talk about paved trails, you've got at least 3+ miles of paved trails throughout this subdivision, because it's just a much bigger subdivision. A lot of these homes are newer, although I will say the con, if you will, and a lot of reason, or the main reason that a lot of my clients don't gravitate towards this subdivision is probably just because it doesn't feel quite like Colorado, or maybe quite like Southwest Colorado, where a lot of people move here saying, I really want to be in the pine trees, have some views, really check some of those boxes, and those are really a priority. As you can see of the footage behind me me and in the drone shots that I'm showing you, it feels a little bit more rural, a little bit more, you know, just less forested. You don't have those big trees around you. You do have some views, but nothing real grand and big in this subdivision. The prices definitely come down as you get into this subdivision, so it kind of makes up for it there. And it does back up to those trails. These trails are really, really good trails. My dad lives very close to this subdivision, I should say my parents, and my dad loves biking these trails. These are one of his favorite trails. Got a few reviews that I actually printed off that I wanted to read you guys. We love the sense of community, parks, trails. We know it will only get better as more restaurants and retailers move in. I work at Mercy Hospital. I love the commute. So you could literally walk to the hospital from here because it's basically connected to the subdivision. Another review, our grandchildren love the parks and the paths for bike riding. So along with the roads and the trail system, there's approximately a 2-mile path that kind of weaves in and out of the subdivision. They do plan to connect it to the Animas River Trail. I'm not holding my breath that it's going to be done real soon, but I'm hoping within the next couple of years. They did say, if not this last fall, that it would be done this year in 2024. So I'm hoping that happens, although I haven't really seen them start much work on that, but they are saying they're going to connect that from Three Springs to downtown Durango. So that is another reason why it would be pretty sweet to live out here. Now, if I didn't say, you're only about 13 minutes from downtown Durango here, then 15 minutes to the airport. So right in between airport and downtown Durango, then 17 minutes to Durango High School, and about 14 minutes to City Market. Again, those are all approximate depending on which home we're choosing to put into the GPS in Three Springs here. And then you've got Spurline Trail. You've got a bunch of trails that connect to each other in this trail system. I'd say overall, most of them are blues. There are some blacks. There's a lot of climbing, but there's also a really good biking segment, and maybe a mile long, that's great for kids, like younger kids that are just learning to bike. So that is probably the best area for kids that are learning to bike. Most other areas are going to be a little bit more advanced, just a little hillier regarding biking. And then to kind of hit on a few other things, you know, total 700 acres, 300 plus acres of open space. Then they do have some good restaurants here. They've got Taco Boy, they've got Home Slice Pizza, really great pizza spot right inside the subdivision. So a little different subdivision in that sense, in that kind of right in the middle of the subdivision, there's some retail stores and some restaurants with more coming in. All right, so a few more reviews. Our family loves living here. Homes are beautiful, energy efficient. We can't wait to move into our new home. Three Springs is a great place to live. Friendly people make it a community that I feel part of with our kids and adults out and about using the trails and parks. All right, another review, and I think this is a really good one to hit on to kind of explain maybe one of the cons, if you will. So the review says, although the homes are close together, the neighborhood is very quiet. Most everyone is respectful and friendly. So I just want to hit on the homes being pretty close together. Some of them, how they're laid out, isn't your typical homes. Some of them have very, very tiny backyards, if any, and then kind of have alleyways where you can park, or alleyways just so that they could get the homes a little bit closer together. So it just depends on which home you're looking at specifically, but some of them are pretty darn close. And then again, like I mentioned, some of them do back up to this open space, and although the lot sizes are pretty small, they feel bigger because some of them do back up to open space. They are building onto this subdivision quite rapidly, so they have a lot more homes that they are planning on adding on. So keep that in mind. If you're not seeing much out there, they are building, so reach out to me about that and I can get you more info on that. Overall, phenomenal subdivision. You are closer to Bayfield, so if you want to get out that way to hit up their trails, Vallecito Lake, Lemon Reservoir, you're a little bit closer out this way as well. I think the biggest con, just circling back to cons, is that it's just a lot more open, feels a little bit more deserty, a lot more pinon trees. You're not gonna have your big pine trees and great views out this way because we are kind of southeast of downtown Durango. All right, now let's talk about some stats of this subdivision. So the highest home sold in here was 982,000. Home sizes range from 1,000 square feet to 2,850 square feet. Something I didn't mention earlier is we have condos in here as well as townhomes and single family homes. So there is a good range of all types of homes in here, which helps you get in those lower price points if you want to still be in the subdivision and be in those kind of lower price points. And then home sizes are 0.06 to under half an acre. There's a few that have a little bit bigger lots, but most do not have much bigger lots at all. Then utilities, everything is central water, central sewer, La Plata electric, and Atmos gas. Then elevation is 6824, just meaning that you're a little bit higher than in-town Durango, but for the most part, you're getting less snow than in-town Durango or equivalent. It's really kind of varies a little bit, but for the most part, are, you're really not getting much more snow than in town Durango. Then regarding HOA dues, $432 per year. Main thing that's covering are the parks, as well as the road maintenance, taking care of the roads, and snow plow or plowing the roads as well. Then regarding traffic, do you hear traffic noise? Not really. What's cool about this subdivision, even though it's off of Highway 160, you really don't hear much traffic noise at all because it's backed up off of Highway 160 by maybe half a mile or so. So that does really help. That might put this higher in the list for you if you're really concerned about traffic noise and you still want to be in a subdivision. I will say good amount of parks throughout this subdivision. Awesome area. I would definitely live here with my kids, and I just see a lot of families, a lot of kids playing in the parks, so want to mention that as well. That I almost forgot to mention, they have a plaza, kind of a grassed area right in the middle of all of those businesses that I was mentioning earlier. And what's really cool about this subdivision, similar to Twin Buttes, is they'll actually have musicians out here in the summer. There'll be dancing, there'll be food, kind of a party going on. So definitely worth keeping that in mind, putting that on your list as well for things that they offer out here that they don't in a lot of other subdivisions. All right, we are back from Three Springs. Let's dive into a little bit of information about Rockridge. Now, something I really like about Rockridge is, to my understanding, it is one of the only neighborhoods with the biggest parcels in downtown, or in town Durango, I should say. So you are a little bit uphill and west of downtown Durango. So if you are biking to downtown Durango, if you really want that bikeability, it is a little bit of a slog uphill to get to that neighborhood, although it's not bad. And if you consider getting an e-bike, that might be a little bit easier to get to your property. Something else that I really like about Rockridge is it has this nice trail. I want to say around a mile-long trail going right through the middle of the subdivision. So there's homes on the left, homes on the right, and they kind of climb up this ridge, if you will, on both sides. There's a few that kind of look over the entire town. There are a few that are a little bit more, or some that are a little bit more tucked in the trees. When I drove a client through this neighborhood recently, they said, nope, I don't like this neighborhood. And the main reason was just it was too shaded. There were too many trees surrounding a lot of the homes. Now, that's their preference, and there's a lot of people that really like this as well, and that's something they're looking for. So, of course, just your preference, and keep in mind, that's not all of the homes. There's some homes, or a good handful of the homes, that are kind of tucked in the trees, and there are some in there that don't really get too shaded as well. Something else that I really love about this is it backs up to Perrins Peak State Park. And what I love about that is you've got really private, and not necessarily private trails, they are still open to the public, but trails right out your back door. You don't have to drive, you don't have to get in your car, and you can hop on those trails. I should say my understanding is you can't mountain bike or bike on those trails, but amazing hiking trails. You're gonna see a ton of wildlife. They are closed a certain time of the year for just conservation and because of migration patterns. So you want to be aware of that. They're not always open, but just around the corner from the neighborhood, you have access to the Overend Bike Park as well, which is a really fun, flowy bike trail system. I've got friends who have daughters, and when they were 7, 8 years old, they were biking on those trails. So they're great for kids. I wouldn't say they're definitely beginner level. They're still can be fairly hilly in there, can climb pretty steep elevation climb as well, but they can still be great for kids if they're closer to that intermediate biking level. This neighborhood, we'll put up some stats on this neighborhood up on the screen. We'll put up the square footage ranges of the homes. We'll also put up the distance to downtown Durango, to kind of the middle of downtown Durango while I'm speaking. And something else that I really like about this neighborhood, well, first of all, it's just kind of the combination of a few different things. It's going to be the proximity to downtown Durango combined with the lot sizes, as well as just the access to those trails, really make it a very unique neighborhood. You really don't have barely any neighborhoods I can think of that are in city limits that have this large size of lot sizes. So we'll put those lot sizes up on the screen right now as well, just to make sure we're providing you with the exact information. And if you're at all liking this neighborhood or just want something similar, let me know. Again, just reach out. We'll put my number below. All right, for this next segment, we're going to be talking about neighborhoods with playgrounds or parks. And I've got a 3-year-old and 2-year-old, so I absolutely love having a park/playground really close by, and so I bet you guys would too. So we're going to dive into really the first neighborhood. It's going to be Three Springs. So we already showed you Three Springs, so we don't need to necessarily go back and show you that, but just to emphasize that this is one of the neighborhoods that has several playgrounds, also has access to trails, and is fairly close to downtown Durango. So it does have quite a bit, and it may or may not make that last list that we discussed. The next one on the list here is going to be Durango West. So Durango West 1 and 2, they both have playgrounds. So this is a very interesting neighborhood in that it is fairly close to downtown Durango. Again, it's about 10 minutes. We'll put up on the screen the distance to Durango West. Let's just jump over there, show you the neighborhood, and let's roll that clip now. All right, now we're gonna head over to Durango West, but before we go over there, I'm gonna give you kind of a brief overview of that area, a few pros and cons. So the first one is gonna be, I'm just gonna give you an example. I had some clients come into town, drove through Durango West 1, drove kind of through the back area of it and saw a bunch of manufactured homes back there. And they didn't really like that there was several that were just kind of falling apart, pretty rough condition, and they just didn't want to live in a subdivision with those manufactured homes that aren't in great condition. So that was kind of one of the cons. The pro is really that it's one of the most lowest price subdivisions in all of Durango, especially when you talk about stick-built homes that are detached homes. So it's really nice to see those lower priced homes in there. And then we'll get into the amenities, but playgrounds, tennis courts, basketball courts, a lot of things to do in this subdivision. The negative is they are going to get quite a bit more snow. We'll jump into a little bit more details about that. There are other videos I shot in the past talking about snow specifically, but they do get quite a bit more snow. They're almost 1,000 feet higher in elevation. And then just the proximity to town, pretty close. I'll get into exact numbers later, but fairly close to town still. Another big plus of it is just a lot of paved roads, shorter driveways. You're not having to worry about really, having an ATV to pave the driveway. You're not having to stress about just a lot that comes with living at higher elevation with longer driveways and bigger acreage properties, because it's a nicely paved roads. We don't have those steep roads that I talk about in some other subdivisions in this subdivision. So overall, I think there's a lot of pros about this subdivision. We're gonna go over there now and show you the subdivision, walk through it, and talk about a little bit more details, square footage, home sizes, etc. So let's hop over there now. Check it out, trail right behind me here. And then as I come across the street here, so on the other side of this home here, there is a trail right here that goes way up the ridge. It looks out at some phenomenal views up there, and definitely worth considering this subdivision if you really want trails in the subdivision. Just have access to that. If you have a family, you want to just be able to walk out your door and be on some trails, this is an awesome subdivision to consider. All right, the highest home sold in here was $849, and that was 3,480 square feet. So pretty good size home. That was back in May of 2022. Proximity to Durango, and I'm using the Strader Hotel this time for a reference point, which is right downtown Durango. And then trails that are close by. So you've got 7 miles throughout the subdivision to give you specifics on how many miles of trails you have here. And then Twin Buttes trail system is just 7 minutes to the parking lot. All right, and then fishing, you're just 18 minutes or 11 miles to Lake Nighthorse, 15 minutes to the Animas River. All right, now Durango West 2, which is the side that we're on right now, is a metro district, not an HOA, just to clarify. It's gonna be $170 a month. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna cover water with that amount up to 12,000 gallons a month. So if it does go over, then you are paying extra for that. All right, your closest restaurant is gonna be about that same amount of distance to downtown Durango, about 16 minutes. I'll just throw out a quick recommendation, Derailed Poorhouse, really good restaurant. There's a bunch of other awesome ones downtown, but I'm gonna throw them out as a recommendation. Then home sizes in here really range 700 square feet all the way up to 5,092 square feet. Lot sizes 0.09, almost up to an acre at 0.082. Utilities are city water, sewer, and gas are all going to be city. So you got Atmos gas and city sewer. And then elevation 7,407. So you're almost 1,000 feet higher, about 900 feet higher than in town Durango. So you're getting quite a bit more snow up here. I did a video just recently this winter on Durango West where I was talking more about it while there was snow on the ground. So you can kind of get a feel for the snow here, but you're getting anywhere from 50% to 100% more snow than in town Durango. And I did get that specifically from the Durango weather guy, so you could have a good feel for what we're getting as far as snow here. All right, we are back, and now we're gonna really focus on several areas in town Durango. So you've got Highway 550, which turns into Main Avenue that goes right up the center of Durango. And there's kind of your west side of Durango, and then the east side of in town Durango. Now the east side is gonna gonna have downtown Durango. It's gonna have all those shops, all those really cool, amazing shops. And then up from there is gonna be the college, kind of looking over downtown Durango. And keep in mind, if you're looking up near the college, regarding biking distance to things and just bikeability, accessibility, it is gonna be a little bit of a climb to get up near the college. Some of those neighborhoods are just perched over the town. And then of course, going downtown is gonna be a downhill ride if you're riding your bike. Now, a lot of people have e-bikes, they'll take them up there. So just wanna hit on that subject first and then come back over to talking about just really in-town Durango. So just in-town Durango in general is gonna be near the top of your list. And let's hit on several specific areas. So the first area is gonna be the Riverview area. The Riverview area is going to be a little bit up from the river, just kind of looking over the river. There's a long section of homes right here, a nice little neighborhood considered Riverview, or called Riverview, that looks over the river. It's not very far from the river, it's maybe half a mile or less, and these are really nice homes in here. Some are remodeled, some are not, but this area also has a really nice park with a sports field, a baseball field, and a really nice playground area as well. So this whole area, not just this Riverview area, but all this area around this park is a great area to live. And then there are several other areas around this, let's say within 3 miles of this park, where there are other parks as well and other neighborhoods surrounding parks. There are a lot of just little parks peppered throughout this area. Then when we go across the street, across Main Ave, west of downtown Durango, you've got another section here. And let's actually clip in a video where I shot this summer talking about this specific area, where we'll jump into a lot more details about this specific area, where I'm just walking through this neighborhood, just talking about it, as there are some really nice parks in this area as well. And then there is some really good access to trails in this area as well. And then before we do that, I also want to kind of navigate back to that east side and let you know there's some great access to trails over there. The trail system over there that is really amazing is called Horse Gulch. And then there's also the Mesa Bike Park. So this section kind of goes up and over onto this kind of ridge area that is further east of downtown Durango. So really both sides have great access to trails and have some great parks. Let's go ahead and clip in that clip now. All right, now we're in an area called the West Avenues. So this is really just west of downtown Durango and west of the Animas River, as well as west of Highway 550, which kind of splits up downtown, the downtown area, and this area, the West Avenues. So what's very different about this than most subdivisions you're gonna see in a lot of my videos is no HOA, no covenants. As you can see, you're allowed to have fences, but it's a really pretty, well-kept area, even though there's no HOA. I've got a lot of clients that really want an HOA because they kind of make sure that the area is well-kept. There's not, cars in the grass in the front lawn, but this subdivision, this area is just really well kept, a beautiful area. There's sidewalks throughout, and a really best kept secret, if you will, is it backs up to the Ned Overend Bike Park. You can't quite see behind me, I'll show you some drone footage, but bike park, bike area right behind me, and the trails are awesome up there. They are somewhat technical, somewhat difficult. They climb pretty quickly, so it's not like these are black diamonds by any means. Really good extensive trail system. They also go all the way up to Hogsback, where there is a double black diamond up there. So if you're really advanced, you know what you're doing. There's some great, really challenging biking back there as well. But if you talk about, hey, what's an area where I can really walk, really go for a 3-mile walk, this is it, because it also connects right onto the Animas River Trail here. And so, yes, it's not a kind of enclosed subdivision in the sense of there is a double yellow line here, but there are sidewalks here as well. So there are a lot of subdivisions that don't have sidewalks, and this definitely has sidewalks. You're basically in town Durango. So 2 minutes to downtown Durango to be at the shops, at the restaurants here. And a few specifics on this. So the highest home sold in this area was 1.2 million. Then home sizes 906 to 3372. Lot sizes 0.17 to just about half an acre at 0.4 of an acre. City water, city sewer, Atmos Energy, La Plata Electric, so all on city here. And what's great is you do get some yards here. You're allowed to have fences. A lot of things that you might be frustrated with in some of these HOAs, you don't have to deal with here. Now you're in town, no covenants, no HOAs, so you can have chickens. Obviously you can't have things like horses because smaller lot sizes just wouldn't really make sense. Negatives of this area, you don't have an HOA. So again, like I said, a lot of my clients really want that HOA, really want to know that their neighbors aren't going to be doing anything crazy, anything that's going to be really disturbing, etc. They want to know that their neighbors are going to be taking care of their yard, that kind of thing. So that could be a con for some people. And then the traffic noise, you are going to hear some traffic from here, but it just depends on where the house is. You know, like I said, this is really a neighborhood, so you're not going to get a lot of traffic coming through here, but there will be a little bit. And then you are going to have the train noise that's going to be pretty close by as well. Just discussing this with a client of mine, he's like, I love the sound of the train. You know, it's not a disturbance. It's not like a train that you're going to hear in another random train. This train has kind of that particular sound, and everybody really enjoys the train for the most part, and you're not going to hear it early in the morning or late at night either. Now, distance to things, Durango High School, approximately 4 minutes. Again, this is a really big area, so just depending on where the house is located, of course, it could be 1 minute to 7 minutes, just depending on where the house is at in this area. City Market, approximately 3 minutes. Again, it's really, really close. La Plata Airport, approximately 20 minutes from here, 20 to 25, just depending on where the home is. And then again, the Animas River Trail, really just about a stone's throw, depending on where the house is in this area. But the Animas River Trail is just right there. Downtown is just right across the street, right across the highway. There are plenty of places to cross the street. There are several businesses on this side of the street too. So I just love it that you've got that, you know, you've got this sidewalk here behind me, and then you've also got the bike trail system right behind me as well. I recommend looking on MTB Project. You can actually look at the difficulty of those trails, look at photos of the trails, that kind of thing, really get a feel for what the trails are like there. Or alltrails.com, they have an app as well. Definitely check that out. Then a few other trail systems, Horse Gulch trail systems, kind of on the other side of downtown Durango. That's definitely one of my favorites. Then Animas Mountain, basically bordering on this subdivision, this area of the West Avenues. Animas Mountain, great biking, great hiking. That's one of my wife's favorite hiking trail systems as well. Really cool views from there as well. All right, then closest fishing, you're gonna be, again, like 2 minutes from the Animas River. Great fishing. As always, I recommend talking to Duranglers or San Juan anglers. You haven't gone fishing, take them out as a ask what their schedule looks like for taking out a guide and being able to fish the Animas River. That way you can really get familiar with it as well. Definitely recommend fishing the San Juan River as well. They're down south of us, just across the border. They are incredible. Then you're about 15 minutes to Lake Nighthorse. Really great fishing there, but they've got a beach. They've got an awesome area that you can swim. They've got buoys. You can swim about a mile out as far as how far out those buoys go. They've got a no wake time in the morning, so you're not getting tossed around by the boats. They've got lifeguards. Like I mentioned, a beach. They've got a really cool kind of inflatable play area out there that they set up in the summer. So again, only 15 minutes away from this area. Then everyone wants to know how close you are to skiing. So you're about 30 minutes from Purgatory Ski Resort right in this area. So basically right from in town Durango, about 30 minutes. And then you've got Wolf Creek, which is approximately an hour away. It could be 5 to 10 minutes off on that, depending on where you're at. But Wolf Creek is out past Pagosa Springs, going east from here as well. And then a few other ski resorts. You've got Telluride, which is about 2 hours away from us right here in downtown Durango as well. All right, now the next subject we wanted to discuss is kind of more tight-knit communities. Hey, what neighborhoods really have a good connection with their neighbors, where they put on concerts, they have events, things like that. So my understanding, and again, this is just anecdotal, this is my interpretation from friends, from family, things like that, and there are quite a few, honestly. I'm gonna list off some. So Twin Buttes is one. We talked about Twin Buttes earlier. They do a great job of putting on concerts, putting on events. They've got a little like farmer's market area. They have gardens that they grow food in. Really, really amazing culture and area there. And then of course they've got those trails right out their back door. So the way that I would kind of look at it is that neighborhood is attracting a lot of people that like to do a lot of similar things outdoors, as is, a lot of Durango, to be honest. So you've also got Three Springs. Now I know I've talked about this already several times, but Three Springs also does a great job of putting on concerts. They've got a little market, they've got a pizza spot, they've got Taco Boy, a good Mexican restaurant. So with those commercial restaurants right there in the middle of their neighborhood, they've also got this park right in the middle there. So they've kind of created it to have that environment. So they do a good job of putting on concerts, putting on events as well. And then you've got other neighborhoods like Durango West 1 and 2. I know we discussed these guys earlier, but surprisingly, some of the same names are popping up in kind of those closer knit communities. And so I think Durango West does a great job as well. Again, they've got got trails throughout, and so I think that helps. You know, people have that kind of connection. They're seeing each other on the trail. You're not just driving in and out like in some of these bigger suburban towns in America. Then let's go north of town. Now you've got several different neighborhoods north of town. You've got neighborhoods like the Ranch, where they've got ponds, they've got trails behind their neighborhood with a nature preserve. Then as we continue away from there are several areas that maybe aren't quite as connected, like County Road 250. You've got a lot bigger ranch type properties, bigger acreage type properties. Then similarly on the other side of the valley, on the west side of the valley, you've got County Road 203, where it's a lot of just 1 to 3 acre properties. So I would say maybe if you're really looking for connection, that might not be the best area. I actually just recently got off a call with some clients that are in town now looking for properties, and they were like, I don't know about that area because of that reason. They want to just really be able to connect with their neighbors better. There are a few little neighborhoods off of County Road 203 in the Animas Valley that might be great. There's a handful, 2 or 3, and then going off of 250, there aren't really any neighborhoods specifically that I think would be great. However, let's talk about going north near Purgatory Ski Resort. In my opinion, and I could really be wrong on this, it's not like I live in any of those specific neighborhoods, but I think it's a lot more transient. There's a lot more people with vacation homes up there, so it might be trickier to connect with your neighbors. That doesn't mean you can't. I think you always can connect with neighbors, but just maybe a little bit trickier. All right, now let's head south. There's a neighborhood that I think would be great if you want to connect with neighbors and you have a little bit more space. It's called El Rancho, Florida, and I think this neighborhood is really cool because they've got ponds, they've got the river running right underneath the bridge as you enter the neighborhood, and they're all on approximately 3 acre lots. So they're big lots, but not massive, not 30 acre lots either, and they're not very far from downtown Durango. We'll actually put up on the screen the distance to El Rancho, Florida right now. And then coming back to in-town Durango, I think just living in-town Durango in general is going to be great. Now, there's not a lot of specific neighborhoods. There are some, but not a ton of just specific neighborhoods in the areas I'm talking about, like living real close to downtown Durango, you know, maybe on 6th Ave or 3rd Ave or real close to Main Street. But you're going to really be able to just meet some friends downtown, bike downtown in 5 minutes and be right downtown and meet friends downtown. So that's kind of meeting in the middle, not necessarily having a neighborhood, but being really close to downtown, just being able to go to a park, being able to go to a restaurant, grab a beer, whatever. So I think that's a really cool culture and a really cool thing we have in this kind of in-town Durango area that a lot of people miss that don't live right in town. Now, the next area we're going to talk about is just having more space, more land. So if you're looking for somewhere where, hey, at least we want an acre plus, or maybe an acre to 3 acres, and we still want to be connected, still be fairly close to town. An area I really recommend looking at is the area where the County Road 300s, essentially, is kind of what I call it. It's also known as the Mesa. So it's south, basically southeast of downtown Durango. And when you're looking at a map, we'll actually put up the map on the screen and we'll show you that area. So it's County Road 301 to kind of County Road 311, that general area. As you get further to County, or closer to County Road 311, you get closer to the airport, closer to Bayfield, and further away from downtown Durango. So I really think that County Road 301 to 305 kind of area is where it's a lot flatter. You're not in the trees, so keep that in mind. If you really want to be in the trees or in the forest, you're not going to get that. You are going to have some really nice views, and something that people really don't see or don't understand is you are very close to Lake Pastores. So if you have kids, if you have family, or even if you don't, and you just want to be close to a lake, you're a 5-ish minute drive, depending on where the home is, from Lake Pastores. In the winter, there's ice fishing. In the summer, you can paddleboard, you can kayak, you can fish it. It's a really, really fun, pretty lake with great views of the mountains there. And I also want to just specify this general vicinity because you're still close to town. There is another really nice area, basically up north of the Three Springs area, where it does get a little bit more forested, a little bit more pinon trees, kind of that feel of Santa Fe, if you will. Kind of high desert, but you are getting a little bit more trees in that area. So consider that area as well. As you climb up towards County Road 240, as you continue to climb north, you are getting higher elevation and are going to get more snow. And so there are some little neighborhoods, but mostly it's going to be just acreage type properties off of county roads in this area. Now, as we go west, we've got several different neighborhoods that I think I have friends that have kids in these neighborhoods, such as Rafter J is where we have friends with kids in there, and they really, really love it. I want to say they're right on about 3 acres and really nice area. it is a little bit higher elevation. And then you've got other neighborhoods like Shenandoah. You've also got Trappers Crossing. And these areas are a little bit more forested, especially Shenandoah. Trappers Crossing, a little bit less forested. I did have a client that didn't really want to live there because of the amount of wind that came through there. It looks like you are close to the lake on the map, but you do really have to drive all the way around to get in, so you're not super close to Lake Nighthorse. So just wanted to mention a few other neighborhoods that I think would be great for families, partly because you're closer to town. A lot of those neighborhoods I just pointed out aren't necessarily close to any trails. The ones that are north of Highway 160, they're kind of in that northeast section of Durango, are definitely closer to trails, but when you get into that acreage, those acreage properties, there aren't any that really back up to trails, but are maybe a 5-10 minute drive from trails. Guys, if you're even thinking about moving to Durango or Southwest Colorado, give me a call, text, or email. I'd love to help you out with all of your real estate needs. I'm a licensed realtor here in Durango, as well as all of Colorado. I'd love to help you out. And more than just helping you buy a home, I'd love to make it just a phenomenal, amazing experience for you. We just closed on a couple properties with other buyers, and it was just an amazing experience all around, at least in my opinion, and from their review. And we just had an amazing time getting to know each other, really walking them through the process, really just understanding their needs and wants, and being able to send them properties, show them properties, give them video tours. And so I'd love to do that for you guys as well. Reach out, and by the way, please subscribe. I have more videos coming soon on subjects like this, as well as many other subjects. We're going to be talking to people about fly fishing, about hunting, about so many different things. We're going to be doing a lot more neighborhood tours, specifically on acreage type neighborhoods, on in-town neighborhoods, and much, much more. And I don't want you guys to miss that. So make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share this with someone. Looking forward to talking to you guys soon. See ya.